We're now ready to add a moon to orbit our planet. And so there's a couple of ways that we can do this. We can first of all either have a fully intact moon that spins in a similar way that the planet does, or we can put an image of a broken moon, which we will do in a later tutorial. So for now, I'm just going to drag in 06 Rock Planet up here, and again that will overlay this image over your whole workspace. And then going to go to copy the effect from our continents layer, so always copying from the same layer, making sure my time slide is at 0, go up to my rock texture and do Control V, and now it's applied all of those settings to another object which we can move over here. So we can now scale this moon down. So before I do that, I'm going to duplicate the planet atmosphere. Just because we can, this planet's moon is going to have an atmosphere as well, and before I scale it down, I'm just going to move the atmosphere on top of it so that it looks about right. The atmosphere is obviously blue, and I want to give this moon a dusty looking atmosphere just so it looks slightly different to the planet, perhaps slightly uninhabitable. So I'll go down to hue and saturation in my effect section over here, making sure the planet atmosphere layer is selected. That's the duplicated planet atmosphere. Maybe I'll just rename that to moon atmosphere. Double click on hue and saturation, click on colorize, and you can drag perhaps the saturation down a bit just so it's a bit more brown, and go ahead and play with that hue there, and it just gives it a bit of a haze on there. So we can now resize this moon atmosphere and that rock texture planet down a bit, so to whatever we want. And if you select them both together like that, you can see that they're both having radically different things applied to them, which is it's because the original images are different sizes, and After Effects isn't very happy with that. And whenever we have any of these glitchy issues, we can solve most of them by going to Layer, Pre-Compose, and I'm just going to name it Moon. And now we can go ahead and resize this moon down like that. Okay, and I can move it over there. So by grouping these objects, it can work much better. And so go ahead, scale it down to whatever size you want. For me, the focal point really is on the planet and not the moon. So I'm just going to pop that there. And again, if you wanted to give the planet an additional moon, you could use like a lava texture or something, whatever you want. But for now, that's fine with me. So the moon needs to orbit the planet as a planet rotates. And so moving my time slider to 0, I want to give it a starting position. I'm just going to move it slightly lower, just down here perhaps, somewhere around there. And then I'm going to go to the drop down for the moon group or pre-composed layer and go to the position. I'm going to keyframe both position and scale for this moon at 0 seconds. I'll then go to 8 seconds. Again, if you hold down shift, your time slider might even snap to any other existing keyframes on other layers. It didn't in my case, but put it to 8 seconds or just after, just to be safe. And then move your moon into a new position. So I've got mine orbiting the planet like this. Doesn't have to be at the same speed or anything like that. Well, I am going to have it enlarging slightly, as if the camera is almost zooming in past the moon. So if I just go ahead and hit play on that. So maybe I want to move it just to the left slightly more. So let's go over to here. Again, hold down shift. If you want to edit any keyframes you've already made, hold down shift, drag your time slider exactly over them, and it should snap like that. And then you can move your planet, the moon, slightly more. And maybe the scale was a bit much. So something like that will be fine. Okay, you may want the moon to even orbit at a slightly faster speed than the planet, especially if it's moving away from the camera like this. That might help, just make it like a bit more 3D. So to change the spin speed of the moon, I have to go inside this group here. So if I double click on the moon layer, it brings up a tab that just has the moon inside of it, I can then go down to the rock planet texture and go to Effects, CC Sphere, and then Rotation, and then on Rotation Y, if I hold down Shift and snap my time slider to that keyframe, I can then just go ahead and make it spin a bit further in that direction, just a little bit. And now if I go back to my Master Planet Shot tab, we should see that it's spinning slightly faster than the planet underneath, and that should be fine.